What's going on, you guys? Paul here with Paul's Performance, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have a very special one for you. This is going to be the first video of a video series that we are going to be doing from here on out, called the TDI Buyer's Guide. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me on and off social media, locally, called me, texted me, Snapchat, because they're getting very popular, especially around here, very, very popular, saying, hey, I'm going to get a TDI. What do I need to look for? Is this a good one? Sending me all types of Facebook posts. Is this a good one? Is this a good idea? So I thought, you know, why not just make a series so I can say, here, just go watch this. This is video one, and we're gonna start with the ALH engine, which is 99 to 03, half year or whatever, but 99 to 03 is gonna be your ALH engine. So we're gonna start there. So this right here is Samuel's behind the camera. This is his car. I'm gonna show you guys what I would look for if I was going to buy a car. When I get there, some red flags. This is not gonna be in depth. We're not gonna be doing compression testing on the car. I'm not gonna be ripping the wheels off and inspecting the inside of the wheel bearings. This is gonna be very basic stuff that I look for that would be major red flags to me. So anyways, let's get under the hood and let me show you. We're under the hood here. This is the ALH engine. It's a little different looking than the other TDIs you're going to be looking at. Yes, there is some similar ones, but this series is mainly going to cover what we see in North America, which is the AHU, which is the older ones, which I haven't seen one, so I don't know how long it's going to take me to make a video on that one. But ALH, BU, BRMs, and CJAA, the 2.0s, that'll be the ones we'll be covering, which is mainly what you're going to see in North America. Starting under the hood, first thing, before you even go to look at this car, you need to message this person and say, hey, when was the timing belt done? No matter what TDI you're looking at, but this one right here, 100,000 mile change of timing belt. First thing you need to ask, when was the timing belt done? That's it, first question. And if they say, I don't know, the previous owner did it, but I have no paperwork, any of that, red flag, red flag. Just gonna say, huge red flag. What you want to see is, yeah, I just got it done 20,000 miles ago. Here's the paperwork from the dealer / shop. Or, you know, yeah, I got it done, You go to look at the car and you got this. Here's the sticker that has all of the information on when the timing belt was done. And you also want to make sure you check that timing belt. No matter what it is, you still want to pull that cover off. Said right here, a couple clips, pull it off, inspect it. If you want a more in-depth on what to look for on the belt, I have a video on how to inspect a timing belt to what to look for. Go check that out. I have the link here above. Anyways, that's the first thing on an ALH and any TDI, timing belt. Second thing, when was the fuel filter changed? Any diesel, but especially the ALH, when was this fuel filter changed? If they said, I changed it once 100,000 miles ago, leave. Matter of fact, don't even show up. Send them a message. If they say that, don't even go. Just leave the car where it sits. Fuel filter, very crucial on any diesel, but this one in particular, like I said, you do not want this injection pump to go bad. It is very expensive. You want to keep your fuel filters changed. It's a very cheap thing to keep your fuel filters changed comparative to having to put a new injection pump in. That is $1,000 at least for a good one. And on top of that, you got to take the timing belt and everything off to do it. So not cheap. Obviously checking your oil, making sure, I mean, it's not really much you can do there, but making sure it has oil in it. ALHs like to leak. So check your oil, look under the car, see if there's any leaks. ALHs tend to leak. You just want to know how bad. If you pull the dipstick and there ain't no oil in there, it's likely leaking or burning it. Check the oil, look underneath, see if it's got bad leaks, because ALHs love leaks. Next thing that I like to look at, it's not really a deal breaker, is EGR. If the EGR system, the anti-shutter valve, all this stuff, if that is still on the car and it has 300,000 miles, it's stock, likely, unless they have paperwork for that intake being clean, the intake is gonna be clogged up. If it's no longer there because it is a off-road vehicle, that's a good sign, because most likely, you know, the intake is not gonna be clogged up, or at least not clogged up anymore. But if the EGR is still there and they haven't done it, then the intake's liable to have a lot of soot buildup in it, especially if it's got 350,000 miles, which most ALHs are going to have. So next thing to look at that is very crucial is vacuum lines. The vacuum lines on these, most people who have them do not want to change them like anything. They don't maintenance anything. So check all these vacuum lines, because these vacuum lines will put you in limp mode. Not very many things on this car that really fail, but vacuum lines is one of the biggest things. So look at all your vacuum lines and see what they look like. If they're all cracked up, they're going to need to be replaced, because that will cause issues with the car. Vacuum lines crucial if you're going to change them yourself once you get them. We have a video of that. The link will be right here above. Next thing to look for me at least, does it have a manual or an automatic transmission? If it has a manual transmission, things you're going to want to look for while driving Obviously, you want to make sure that the shifter inside is not all over the place. But two, when you're driving, you want to ask when the clutch was done last. Do they know? If it's got a lot of miles on it, which it probably does because it's ALH, it's old, it's well over 20 years old, probably going to have a lot of miles. When was the clutch done? What kind of clutch is in it? Is it a single mass? Does it have a dual mass? If it has a dual mass in it and it's the OEM one, once they get up in age, they'll start to rattle. So when you engage the clutch and you hear rattling and it's got a DMF in it, it's probably going to need a new clutch. You can put a DMF back in it. There's nothing wrong with that. I like DMFs on stock cars. They're very smooth. Or you could go back with a single mass, but that's going to cost money to change that out. So be aware and look for that. Now, for those of you looking at an automatic, leave. Don't buy it. Just get away from there, run away. Don't walk, run. Do not buy an automatic. I'm kidding to a certain extent. The automatics that come in these year models suck. I mean, it's a bog machine. They're really expensive to get fixed or buy. So if they fail, it's way too expensive to buy or rebuild that transmission. I know some of you guys out there who are gonna say, well, no, I can rebuild it for $100. You know, that's great for you, but most other people, it's not gonna happen. They're just really expensive to fix and they're not good transmissions. It's just it. If you're looking at an automatic, just know it's probably not the best option. They're not gonna be as quick or as fast as a manual or as fun. So if you enjoy having fun and power, don't get an automatic. But if you do get an automatic, you get a good deal on it. This car was an automatic when he first bought it. And when it failed, we manual swapped it. It is a lot cheaper to manual swap it than it is to put an auto back in it. The auto was gonna be $4,000. We bought an entire parts car with a manual in it for $800 and swapped this one into a manual. So it's not a deal breaker, but I'm just saying be aware that the automatics in these suck. Now, you get into the later models with the DSGs, that's a different transmission. Those are not bad, but this one in particular sucks. So please just be aware of that. As far as other stuff under the hood, there's lots of little common things to look for, but not really when you're just looking to buy the car. That's the main things that I would be is timing, any sort of leaks, etc. Now we're gonna go inside the car and I'll tell you some things to look for on there. Most of that is gonna be cosmetic, other than, like I said, some lights on the dash. Alrighty guys, so we get to the inside. First thing you're gonna wanna look at, which you probably already gonna know about, is the mileage. Mileage is subjective to the car. I've seen ALHs with 500,000 miles that run perfect, but I've seen ALHs with 200,000 miles that are absolutely crap. So it depends on, you know, how they were taken care of. These cars do go really high in miles. So if you see one with 200,000 or 300,000 miles, I wouldn't necessarily be afraid of it because these engines do go really high in miles when taken care of. They're really great engines. So this one has 246,000, which I would consider good mileage, especially for as old as these cars are. It's going to be hard to find one that starts with 100,000. Second thing, when you crank it up, you're going to want to look for lights, check engine lights. If they say, oh, it's just this, bring a scanner. Don't ever trust anybody for, oh, it's just this. Because if the check engine light is on an ALH, something is probably wrong, because the check engine light don't just be coming on for nothing. It ain't really got that much stuff to fail and cause the engine light to come on. It's probably something wrong with it, probably why they're selling it. Make sure you bring a scanner with you if it has an engine light. Another thing, if it's in limp mode, when you crank it up, there'll be this little squiggly line I'll show you here. The light for the glow plug. If that light is flashing on the dash while it's running, that means that the car is in limp mode. That is an issue, so just be aware and on the lookout for that. Another thing that I like to do when you're driving the car, make sure that the temperature goes up to 190 and it stays at 190. It doesn't go up past it and go up to 260, or it doesn't stay cold. Make sure it's running at 190 very consistently. As far as interior goes, the interior on these cars, on these earlier ones, this body style, are not the nicest interior. They tend to get sticky. A lot of the panels get very loose and they crack easy. They're very brittle. So if you're looking for a luxury interior, this is not the car for you. So just be aware of that. I would check and make sure all of your window switches go down. They're very bad about the windows not working or these switches going bad. They're also very bad about the door locks not working. I don't think I've been in one of these Mark IV Jettas where all 4 door locks actually work. You may want to mess with that. It's not really a deal breaker for most people. Even my car had one of the rears that wouldn't lock and I just pushed it down and left it lock all the time. Just be aware of that on these. They do have a lot of interior issues. If you got a sunroof, make sure the sunroof works. Another thing, on these Mark IVs, they like to get moisture in this area. They tend to have leaks. Come from different areas, door seals, the windshield, but you're gonna wanna look in this area and look down here in the floor for signs that water is getting in, because one thing that'll cause, a lot of times that water would come down the dash, and here's your fuse panel. and it'll get in this fuse panel and cause lots of issues. The only other thing that I would tell you to check, I'm gonna crank it up and we're gonna go back under the hood and I'm gonna show you one more thing to look at. Alrighty, so one other thing that I like to check out whenever I'm looking at really any diesel, not as crucial on the TDIs because they tend to have a little bit more than a lot of other diesels have, that is blow by. I always like to check blow by on any diesel. So for this right here, you're gonna wanna get it running. Make sure you test drive it. Like I said, get it up to temp, get it warm before you do this. You don't really wanna do this cold. Like I said, once you get it up to the temperature, leave it running at idle. Reach down here, grab this cap, spin it off, and check. What you're looking for is to see if there is like smoke coming out, huffing and puffing. As soon as you spin this cap off right here, if it blows this cap off, I want you to take this cap, put it back right here and run, because that is not the car for you. Now, if you take this off and you see huffing and puffing of smoke, like a lot, also run. Probably not the car for you. Now, as you can see, like this one right here, up to running hot. Obviously, when you put this cap on here, it's gonna bounce because, like I said, it's a sewing machine right here. It rattles a lot, but it shouldn't blow it off. It shouldn't have pressure to it. If it has a whole lot, leave. It's not the car for you. If it has just a little bit of haze going to it, a little bit of smoke, that's normal, especially when it has 200,000 or 300,000 miles on it. It's gonna have blow by. But you just don't want a whole lot or pressure, because that would signify most likely there's something wrong in the bottom end, issues with rings, and that's a major problem that's going to cost more than what just buying another car would be. Because like I said, these things right here sell for about $3,000 to $5,000, at least around here they do. So it wouldn't really be worth going through and rebuilding the entire engine as soon as you buy the car. So anyways, let's move on. On the injection pump here, it is very common, or at least I see a lot of it, of these injection pumps leaking by these gaskets on this upper cap or the secondary cap down here. Now, if you see fuel leaking and they say, hey, I got a fuel leak, and you see it coming out of this injection pump, your first thought may be, oh my gosh, I gotta get an injection pump. This is gonna cost a lot. That is not necessarily a deal breaker. If it is leaking from one of these creases up here, that is fixable. It costs about $10 for the gasket kit. It's not that hard to change. I will say you really wanna get someone skilled to do it, but you do not have to remove the injection pump. You just gotta remove these bolts on top. This car actually had it leaking, and I've seen countless other ALHs that'll leak by those gaskets. Not a deal breaker though, but just be aware if you do see that and it's leaking from one of those, it's not going to be a deal breaker for your injection pump. I bring that up just because, like I said, a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh my gosh, it needs an injection pump, and it's just not the case. Like I said, $10 gasket set. Also, you're going to want to check the coolant. Look at the bottle, make sure the bottle is not stained completely black. That could mean that it's getting exhaust fumes into this system, which will mean possible head gasket, or it had a head gasket replaced. Pull it off, check the coolant, make sure it's nice and clean. Should be pink or purple, depending on what they're using. If they have anything else in there, like some sort of random green or just like universal, get that and drain it out immediately and put pink back in it, which is what it calls the G12. So make sure that's clean. And like I said, this bottle is not blacked out. If so, that's a red flag. Ask them about if they've ever had a head gasket done. If not, that may be a little bit of a red flag. Alrighty guys, so that completes our ALH buyer's guide video. These are just the things that I would look for if I were going to look at it. Yes, there's a lot of other things you can look for, a lot of places, wheels, all that stuff, but that's all up to you. I was just trying to get you the basics of what to look for as far as mechanically and common issues that I see on these cars. I'm sure I missed some things. I'm sure people are gonna light it up in the comments about the things that I missed. If so, like I said, I appreciate it. Put them down there, and like I said, go check out the comments. You might see something else to look for on these cars. But anyways, this is my opinion on what to look for on these as a technician and mechanic who works on a lot of TDIs. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions further about ALH engine or stuff to look for, stuff that you have, leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. As always, please like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.